Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Ask Me Anything session. I'm Justin, one of the co-founders here at SiteSwan, and I am excited to do this with you today because we have a lot of questions that you guys submitted ahead of time. So bravo to you guys who did your homework and got questions in before we started, which means you're pretty much guaranteed they'll get answered. Not to say that everyone who's here won't get their questions answered also, but you done good. So if you wouldn't mind, let's find the questions tab on the bottom right. If you're brand new here, questions tab is how you will be communicating with me and my moderators today. I have like 3 or 4 moderators here today. And the good news is that all your questions will get answered. The better news is that anything you ask is private to just us. So the whole world doesn't see it. So if you have something very specific you want answered about your particular account or something like that, you can ask it and you don't have to worry about other people seeing it. So that's that. Plus, it's distraction-free zone, which means that what you're asking will get answered by me and not by a bunch of other people who may not know exactly the best way to answer the question. But nonetheless, in the questions tab, I like to start the conversation off today by giving me one win. Give me one positive thing that's happened in your web design ventures since either the last time you were on one of these, or if it's your very first time attending one of these, I'd love to hear your win. I'll tell you one win that I have. I saw one of our folks here in this room posting on TikTok, I believe, and he's here. Clifton is actively posting on TikTok and showing off some of the sites that he's built. So that's awesome. So I see you. I see what you're doing, and I like it. We have definitely some new faces here. We have some people who, Janet, I see Janet's here, and Janet's completed, I think, just recently, either the 4th or the 5th coaching call with Ryan, which is awesome. Christy, I see, who's been here for a long time. And we got Tom. What's up, Tom? Linton's been here a bunch of times. Keith as well. Mark. We got Galleril, who's always been very consistent lately with attending these. Questions tab is where you can give me one win. Mike, my man, and Kevin. All right. Give me one win from the last, whatever, couple of weeks. I'd love to hear it. All right. First up, Janine says things are going slow. Not a win, but may have 2 sites upcoming. And Janine, how'd you come across those? I'd love to hear. Justin says, I got a big win. Clients were asking us for marketing services. So we started offering marketing services and got one of our clients all set up with Google Ads. That's so cool. I find Google Ads to be a relatively easy thing to offer to a client, so long as it's not your very, 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 very first time doing it. I would definitely love to see some of you guys get involved in that. Keith has created a script with Claude to save him time, manually evaluating prospects from the prospecting tool. Oh, fun. That sounds cool. Mark has got a handshake deal for a new website with 6 months reputation management. Very nice. Just need to access DNS settings, but old web guy not cooperating. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes it happens. You just got to threaten them. Just kidding. Mike finally upsold his gym on social media management. Very nice. Also sold a site to an interior trim contractor in Ohio, which is a referral. And sold a site to an RV/marine hitch installation shop. Okay, in Fort Lauderdale. Who found him on the website footer credit on his competitor's site. So what Mike is saying is that, as you guys I'm sure know, when you build a site for somebody, you get credit in the very, very bottom of the site. And that's clickable link. And someone can go there and someone can click on it, visit your site. So what happened is one of Mike's clients had this on it. His competitor came to the site, said, "Oh, that's a nice site. Let me click on that," and then decided to do business with Mike also. That's so cool. Love having. We had that happen actually recently with a law firm not too long ago. Someone who I've known for a very good friend of mine for a very long time. He was at my wedding party. I was in his, and he went off on his own. He's an attorney and started off on his own law firm, and built him a dynamite site. Really, really, really nice. Next thing you know, a month after the site launches, Another law firm not too far away is like, hey, we need a new website. I'm like, wonder how you found out about us. So that was cool. Tammy's got a question. Yes, I saw the translation question. I will make sure that gets answered. And Mark, I see your question. We'll try and get to that. I have to think about the answer to that question. Gallerol is giving us some feedback. Anyone else having trouble with logging into Livestorm? Gallerol is saying that every time trying to get in has been an issue. Janine says the opportunities that she has pending. She had a pool put in, and the company was unhappy with their web designer, said his contract was up in September and will switch to me. The other is a new business for a family member. Very, very cool. Keith's excuse for building this Claude thing is he's probably subconsciously finding ways to avoid cold calling. Cold calling, man, it's something that a lot of people don't think that they like and will make excuses not to do. But once you do start doing it, it can produce some magical results. Truly magical. All right, let's get into our conversation with some questions being answered. Feel free to populate them in the questions tab. But in the meantime, I want to answer these that came through ahead of time. I will try to state them as clearly and eloquently and succinctly as possible, because sometimes you guys do a long question there, and I'm going to try and trim it down. So Jeffrey says, a friend wants a basic one-page site for his supermarket with no monthly fees. Red flag, red flag. He uses Bluehost right now and finds my $500 setup fee, $30 a month rate too expensive. Tell him you find his milk prices too expensive. I even offered a discounted rate of paying for a year of hosting. He's not budging. I've already explained the perks of the monthly fee. No luck. Since I'm starting out and need portfolio pieces, is it worth eating the cost to build this for him? Or do I say the obvious? I, you know what I always find funny? You know what I find funny is how we feel. Hold on a second. Hold on, please, while I get these devices set up so I don't get interference. Okay. Let me just make a little switcheroo here. Hopefully I don't lose any audio while I do this. Let's find out. All right. So I want to answer this question in the best way possible, and I find it really funny. So what I find funny is that friends will ask for discounts and expect you to do stuff for less for them, when in fact, like, they're your friends. They should be rooting you on. You should be rooting them on. Getting discounts from friends always feels weird, because it's like, well, I want you to do more. I want you to do better as a friend. I want you to thrive. Why would you offer me a discount instead of a stranger who probably needs a lot more incentive to trust you? Right? So this person, Jeff, I'm not sure if they will ever find the value in what you have to offer. They're just the type of person who's probably going to continue to price shop for their entire life and maybe never get a new website built for that reason. So I don't think you're missing out on anything by not forging this relationship with this client. My personal opinion. Next up is Tammy, who says, I have a contact in Mexico who's very well connected with local businesses. She offered to introduce me to potential clients in exchange for a commission. Okay. Before I commit to anything, I'd like to know if the areas of the website that are visible on screen, the front end, can be translated and edited into Spanish, such as the menu and footer, among other things. I'm fully bilingual in Spanish, so I can create the content. That part, as well as the back end, would not be an issue, as I'd be working on these sites. So the best thing I could recommend for you, Tammy, is to take a hard look at some translation services that are just bolt-ons to the site. Okay? I have two examples for you to consider. The first one is going to be in the resources section of your dashboard, and I have a video on exactly how to do this called G Translate, which is right here. So I do have a video on this. It's on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. If someone can find that for Tammy and send it to Tammy, that'd be wonderful. The second thing is actually on Elf site. And just the other day, let me see if I can find this site for you. Just the other day, I was working on this because we are going to be doing something special next week. We're going to be hosting I promised you something different originally, but this time next week, we are going to go over how to make Elf site premium widgets work for you and your business. And I'm going to be doing a lot of demonstrations, a lot of cool stuff with it. And one of the things I was doing was using their translate feature, which has proven to be a very, very cool tool. Let me see if I can find what I did. All right. So this is a site I'm going to be demoing next week. And on this site, I see some pop-ups and things like that. You guys are getting sneak peeks right now. See, it pays to be a part of this. You see things you wouldn't normally see. So I'm going to do this. Don't mind me accessing this code right quick. No, I don't know how to code. Yes, I pretend to. All right. So if you look right here on the top, we have an English and Spanish option. Now I'm logged in, so it's going to be a little bit funky when I do this, but if I click Español, it changes the entire site to Spanish. Now, obviously, this is not going to be as good at translating as you are, Tammy, but this definitely can help considerably because you won't have to really do anything. So this one little line of code, which you can grab by getting over to Elf site from the resources section of your dashboard, you can go find Elf site. You can click on the translator widget that they have, which if I find it quickly, I will show you. Website translator, okay? And then you can choose the style of this translator, do whatever you want with it, a little drop down maybe, whatever you want to do. You can select which languages, and then you can just copy and paste the code into your site. It's that easy, and I think you might like it. I hope, however, that the relationship you're going to be building with this person in Mexico is going to expect commissions not only on contacts being made, but on sales being made. And if that's not the arrangement, I would highly suggest you offer them a higher percentage or dollar value for closing a deal rather than just getting a contact. All right. The next question that I need to answer, let me just make sure I'm not missing anything that you guys are doing in terms of follow-ups. Nope. Okay. Next question is from Lowell. Should we display an 800 number on our agency website instead of a personal cell phone number? Lowell, I don't know. I don't have a big opinion on this, but what I will say is that don't go investing in things that you're not sure of how you're going to use them. So if getting an 800 number is going to cost you money and you're still new to this, don't spend any more money than you need to. There is something very charming and I think intriguing about seeing a local area code on a website that will encourage people to be able to trust you a little bit more because you're a local person. I actually like to highlight the fact that I live very close to the businesses that I might offer to build a website for as a means to show that I understand their area and the community. And having a local phone number can definitely help insinuate that without you even having to say anything. Lowell also said, when choosing the 3-section footer layout, how do we add content to the third section to the right? Well, that third section, let me go back to English, is for connect with us content. And that specifically includes your social links. So if I start to add social links here, as you'll see, the information will populate. That's what it's for. Now, if by some chance you don't have the words, if you don't have the words contact details entered in, then that is I'm sorry, connect with us. You can certainly add that in and then you'll have something over there. I've also seen people modify this text and just do something totally different with this, but that's what it's designed for. It's designed for the social network connections. Lowell also said, I have Google Analytics set up on my agency website, and recently I noticed a large number of people from Iran. Prior to that, China. I cannot explain that, Lowell. I cannot explain it. Question for you would be, did you always have this domain name or is it brand new? Sometimes all the domain names, if they were parked for a period of time, will get randomly traffic from different countries. And then once you actually get a site built on that domain name, some of that old traffic will still come onto the new site. So my hunch would be maybe this is not a brand new domain name, and that's what's happening. Another question Lowell had is when dealing with customers who have existing websites and want a new one while still using their old domain, what's the best way to obtain or handle their existing domain? Ask them for the login information. That's it. Log in, make the changes for them, point the site live. Your work is done. If for some reason the domain was with a previous provider and you don't feel like your client is inept or if you don't feel like your client is able to handle the idea of getting a domain transferred into like a cheap and easy domains account, then I would probably suggest that you ask the client, is it okay if I just have them transfer it to my account? And then you accept the registration transfer into your account. You manage it. You keep the credit card up to date so that you'll know that. Um, I don't know what I did. Can you guys hear me now? I'm back. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure what happened. All right. I'll try and pay closer attention to my screen. So, as I was saying, URL rewrites are the ability to take old URLs that were on the old website and point them to new pages on the new site. So one example, and this is crazy. All right, I don't know what I got to do differently. Oh, is that the problem? Let's see. I don't think so. All right, I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Um, so like, let's say an old site had like, I've seen this happen on like contact.php or something like that, or about.html, or some really convoluted, weird URL. The reason why we set up a URL rewrite for that is so that we can point it to the proper page on the site, because Google and the rest of the search engines might still be indexing those old sites. And by indexing, I mean could be remembering or retaining the URLs to those old pages on the old site. So when the new site goes live, they can't update all the pages immediately, despite the fact you tell them they just can't. They still want to trust their previous knowledge of the site. So what you want to do is take that URL for all those old pages, and you are going to simply point them to the new version of that page on the site. Or if the page doesn't exist on the site anymore, just push them to the home page. So the process is you go to the settings, URL rewrites, you're going to add a new one. So if the old domain, the old URL was like contact, going to just cancel our Livestorm account at this point. I'm a Gallerol right now, just like, let's just get rid of this thing. .php, and then you can point them to a page on your site by selecting. I think I know the issue. I don't think I can record this. Let's see if this fixes anything. I'm going to pause that and get that set up. Oh, you know what I can do? I could also change. hmm, I don't know. But I'll hopefully it won't happen again. This will allow you to point it to any page on the new site very quickly and easily, or the homepage, of course, if you'd like. We have another question from Lowell. Says, how do we help customers who don't live in the area but need Google Business Profile video verification? Doing video verification on behalf of a business owner is incredibly difficult, and is not something I can honestly say can be done remotely. I've done it, I think, one time remotely, and it was borderline disaster. So I do not recommend promising you can do Google Business Profile video verification. That is going to be something that they're going to need to be competent enough to do themselves to get that benefit. I'm sorry. Janine's here. How do I update or change the image that displays next to my URL address on searches? I've changed my logo image everywhere I can think of, but it's still pulling an old blurry image. All right, so let's talk about the URL address on searches. So if I go to Google and I type in SiteSwan, you are going to see this image right here. Is this what you're talking about, Janine? I have a feeling it is. By the way, since we're talking about this is going to be the one of two times I'm going to ask you this today. And you'll all be my very best friend if you can help with this. You guys have been wonderful leaving us Google reviews, like really, really wonderful. And it's been phenomenal. But I'll tell you, out of nowhere, Trustpilot has come up to be like a big player in the review industry, and it's being cited a lot more than it ever has before. And we have less than 5 reviews on Trustpilot. If any of you are willing to be a doll and leave us a review on Trustpilot, just type this in. I could send you a link also. Um, Trustpilot, SiteSwan Trustpilot, and you can go and leave us a review. It would mean the absolute world to us. You can go in here and click write a review and do us that favor. I'll ask you one more time at the end. All right. So if you want to fix this image, the only thing that you really do, that's your fave icon. So the fave icon image is accessible from the settings, the general settings, and it's right here. Now, if you have an issue with this being pixelated or blurry or something like that, then it could just be replaced right here. I don't know why it would come through blurry if you uploaded a decent size image. Now, I will say that uploading your fave icon image here is not going to mean that you will see it updated immediately in Google. Google's going to take a minute, possibly a day. I've seen as much as a week to update the fave icon across the board. They take their sweet time asking for that fave icon from the site. So if you're confident you've made a change somewhat recently to the fave icon, but you're still seeing it blurry on search, just give it more time and it should resolve itself. It's a bit of a slow process. I wish I could do something to accelerate it, but I can't. Mike said, Mike C, I asked this before. Please forgive me. I forgot. When it comes to ownership of a website, I always say to my client that they own the website copy, the domain, the photos that they provide me with. I tell them I all I simply own is the design. Is what I say factual or am I mistaken? Thank you and sorry I'm asking this again. Yeah, so if someone asks me what they own with the website, I tell them this. If ever you wanted to move away from working with me, you can take any element of the website design, including the content, including the images, including the layout, whatever you want to do, and have someone else or you build the site in some other way somewhere else. I cannot transfer the site. I cannot export the site. I can't do any of those things for you, but you are free to take the work that I've done and apply it to whatever you decide to do next in your life, which is a day I hope never comes. And obviously, a huge percent of the time, 98% of the time, it never happens. But that is something that you can share with them. Next up, I know I don't know how to send this link. Tony Joy's like, I think I have the Trustpilot link. I don't have the exact URL. If you guys want it, just type review and we'll respond to you and type in give you the link. It would really mean a lot to us. And then Mike's got a feature request. Even evenly spreading out the icons from map, phone, email, and hours across the section they sit on at the top of the mobile screens. Yeah, I don't hate that idea. If we can maybe get that submitted as a feature request, I do like that. Maybe Brian can jump on that. Centering the mobile icons for map, call, email, etc. Robert's got a question that he posted ahead of time in the pricing plans for our marketing website. The website design and setup fee. I'm just going to pull this up so everyone can be on the exact same page of what we're talking about. So if I'm in my sites area, I'm going to go to, I forget what, there it is. All right. I forgot what my brand name for this test account was. So if I go to the pricing, Robert's saying, all right, when you're on here, the website design and setup cost includes an item called cross browser testing. Yes, cross browser testing. What does this item mean to involve? Okay, so what it means is that it's basically nothing you're doing. It's what we have done a bajillion times, and that's to make sure that everything that's on the platform, all the features, functionality, tools, anything you can do in the platform is going to be compatible and work well with all the browser's operating systems. That's kind of our promise to you that you can just convey to the client. You've tested to make sure this thing is compatible with all modern browsers and operating systems. It's not going to crash in a browser or break on someone or something like that. It's going to just work. That's the promise you can make. Linton says, is there a way to change a client's billing date? So let's talk about client billing. If any of you guys have client billing set up for one of your clients, you might, perhaps, maybe want to change the billing date. So the way you would do that is actually to cancel the subscription and then restart it. So you would actually go here, cancel it. Oh, by the way, take note when it was being processed. It was on the 11th. The current period is the 11th. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel the subscription. I'm going to keep the site online. And now I'm going to go back in and view or manage recurring subscription, reactivate it. And when I do this, I can choose the plan. So I'm going to put them back on the $49 a month plan that they were on. I'm going to zero out the setup fee because they're not actually being charged anything for that. And then I'm going to set my new billing date to whatever I want. So it was the 11th, and now I'm going to make it whatever, the 28th, let's just say. And now I can complete my order and I'm good to go. My first charge is going to go through not today, but on April 28th, and I've just successfully changed their billing date. Mark says, please, please, this is a feature request, it sounds like. Make a section have the ability to hide itself on a certain date. Ah, I like that. So, like a schedule post to come online or offline. I like that. If we can please add a add a feature request for that, I'm going to post it in our chat so we all can see it. All right. Cool. So, okay, I thought we had like a bajillion questions to answer, but it just felt like a lot because some of them were a little long-winded. But we're ready to get to your questions that you guys have submitted here for me to look at. So, first things first. Oh man, I need my coffee. What's the strangest website you've made? That's from Mark. The strangest website I've made was an April Fool's Day joke. TheWeirdBeardBar.com. Read through this if you want a good laugh. Or you'll think I'm stupid. Either way, this is the weirdest website I've made. All right. Justin says, I have questions about the status of the opening a link in a new tab function. I have a client's website. For some reason, external links don't open in a new tag window. So, Justin, I think actually I was a part of this conversation this morning, and it looks like everything was good to go on that. Did you get our latest reply? If not, I just need to know what browser you're using because everything should open in a new tab So just guys, just so you guys know this, what's happening here is that on one of Justin's sites, get a bunch of links to a bunch of different URLs. And the rules that we have on our platform is that so long as you're linking to something, anything that is not on this site, meaning a different URL, we're automatically going to do so in a new tab. But Justin claims that was not happening for him. But in our tests, I thought maybe you did something. It looked like it was resolved. If it's not, and this will be the case for anyone having a very unique, tricky situation that's difficult to describe, I'm going to introduce you to a little fun website called Loom, loom.com. You can actually record yourself navigating a website and then send that to us. And we can get a real firsthand view of exactly what you're dealing with, and it makes it a bit easier for us to understand some of these, oddities that you might come across. And maybe there's something we can recognize in the video. At the very least, it's something we can hand off to our developers and say, "Hey, this weird thing is going on. Can we look into it?" And having a video of someone actually doing it and recreating that whatever it is super helpful to us. All right. Keith says, "What's the average number of clients someone has? It's 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months?" Or average recurring revenue. What percentage of SiteSwan users expand past side hustle status and build an actual primary business? So, um, we don't have a ton of people on today's call, but if you guys wouldn't mind, anybody want to volunteer and say how, if they're doing this full time or not? And we can get a rough percentage of at least of the people who attend these sessions who is doing this full time and who's not. The most direct answer I can give you, Keith, is that there is no answer to this question because everybody comes into this with different goals and objectives. Like if I asked you guys how much money you want to be making in 12 months, I guarantee you I'll get how many of you are there? 20 something people? I'll get about 18 different answers. And if I ask you how many hours a week can you actually devote to running your web design business, I would probably also get about 20 different answers. So it's truly different for everyone. Everyone's level of commitment, everyone's, season of life that they're in is going to differ. If we got everyone all at the exact same point in their life with the exact same situation, I can give you an average number and it would make sense to you. But people are doing this for so many different reasons. I got people who want to, like I had this video of Ron and Denise who want to actually sell their home and live out of an RV and visit their grandkids more and sell sites on the go 24/7. That's a very different goal than someone who's like, well, I want to be able to afford the car I've never been able to have. Like, there's a difference. There's a difference. So, if I gave you an average, it would be totally skewed by some people who are really outperforming and some people who just have super low goals. I mean, we also have people who come on board and like literally don't lift a finger and they're like, this didn't work for me. And then I don't want you to be grouped in with them. So it would be difficult to give you a good answer. I don't know where the cutoff is, the best of the worst in terms of the devotion they put into it. All right. Janine says, for setting up a Google Business profile, should we be charging for that, even though it's a free service? Uh, are they going to do it? If they're n- if they don't want to do it, then that's something yes you should charge for because it's going to take you time. If they do want to do it, then let them do it, and then they don't have to pay you anything. So it's not so much about whether there is a physical cost associated with doing the thing. It's much more about the convenience factor of just having it done. Like there are certain things where like it, there are very little costs associated with cleaning my home. Okay. The sprays and the paper towels, relatively cheap monetary investment. But there is time and effort that's being put into cleaning that I'm willing to pay someone else to do. It comes at very little costs, but except for time and energy. So don't be shy about asking for money to compensate you for time and effort and even your knowledge of things you know how to do. Also, Janine said, there's a site I did for a client. Client has one. Wait, a site I did for a client has one, but we're talking about Google Business Profile. Whoopsies. But they no longer have access to it. Do I start a new one? So it's generally a bad idea to start a new business profile on Google only because it could return to a duplicate and then issues come from that. So there are several steps you can take to attempt to regain access to the Google Business Profile. And a lot of times it can be successful. And if you still can't do it, you can reach out to their support and they can assist you by having you verify that you own the business, and then they can hand the keys back over to you, especially if you have reviews. If the business has reviews and it's got some content on it, I would definitely, and it's accurate, I would definitely try to work with Google to get access back to that Google Business Profile. And it's something, quite frankly, you should be charging even more for. It's not your fault that they don't have the keys to the castle. So you're now a locksmith. So you'll charge for your locksmith services, which will involve some time going back and forth with Google to try and get credentialed to get into it. Janine says, when setting up SEO, is it better to set each page as its own SEO? So, yeah, that is definitely something you should do if you want to maximize the potential for this site to outperform the competition. So, what I would do is for each page of the site, I'm looking to get aggressive with SEO. I am going to use page specific SEO. And we give you a template right here. So it's like, all right, here's your meta tag concept. You're going to basically take this, copy it, and put it in here. So now you're going to fill in the blanks. So this is the services page. So I would actually say um, Mason's Masonry Supply Services, um, landscaping and masonry supplies in, what is this, Gilbert, Arizona, I believe. So you're going to do that basically. Title, description, keywords, and you're good to go. Clifton says, any advice on where I can find a commission only sales rep? So, yeah, so generally when you are going to look for a commission only sales rep, you are going to find someone with a little less experience because people with more experience will generally prefer or insist upon some sort of base salary in addition to commission. So what I would do is I would actually start by posting on Facebook and see who friends and family. Like I just found out my 16-year-old nephew is doing cold calling, commission only. I had no idea he was even into that. I'm like, I could have hired you if I knew you were doing this. But yeah, he's there's lots of people who are willing and able and eager to do this kind of work to get their foot in the door, get some experience, stuff like that. And if you want to pay commission only, those people are out there. Start with the people you know and see who's got a family, friend, cousin, neighbor, whoever who wants to get involved in sales. And if that doesn't work, or if you don't get the results you want, go to somewhere like Craigslist and post something locally in like the sales department, sales category. That's what I would suggest. All right. What else? What did I miss? So Tammy's just trying to offer um, some advice here. My goal is not to build hundreds of sites, but about 50, and then offer other marketing services on a monthly basis as to become their marketing partner for all things online. There you go. It's a great attitude to have. You don't have to do it in volume. You could just not volume in number of clients, but volume in services offered. Garrel says the fave icon size is recommended at 96 by 96. Garrel, it doesn't matter what you upload. So what we're doing is we are delivering a size down version of the fave icon. Upload whatever you want. I would just make sure you're not uploading a complex image like a photograph or a detailed logo. Something very, very simple is going to be ideal. So Justin is saying that he's doing this full time along with another digital products business. Love to hear about that. That's cool. Clifton's doing this full time, 2.5 years, close to 100 live sites. Joe says I'm doing this very part time. Um, is there? Mark said, is there a way to opt out of giving feedback after every interaction with our wonderful support team? They're always great. I don't need to tell you that every time. Mark, how about this? If you leave us a review on Trustpilot, I'll figure out a way to do that. Okay? How's that sound? Janine just did a Trustpilot review. Thank you, Janine. We love you. All right, Justin is happy the links work now. I'm just catching up on these comments. Sorry. When will this recording be on YouTube for review? I think we'll have it probably later today. Mark saying the cross browser testing sounds like snake oil sales. Well, I'll say that I will say that it might sound that way. It's an older term that used to be very popular with launching websites. We've carried it forward, and the primary reason for that is because um, there are so many people who don't do this still to this day. They'll just slap something together, say it looks good in Chrome, and then things just break. Like the amount of effort that we have to put in to make sure that everything that we do is compatible across all the different browsers, it would blow your mind. It's so frustrating. Like we've had to kill off features because some browsers just simply would not allow us to achieve what we wanted to achieve. So if we just worked inside of one browser and was like, it looks good, we would have broken stuff everywhere. And you guys are like, I'm an Opera. And in my Opera browser, I can't do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, we don't want to deal with that. So we're just going to make sure everything works everywhere. So I can understand why you might say that, but there actually is a lot of reality and a lot of pain in the butt stuff behind the scenes. Let's see. Justin's Chelsea just submitted a review. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Mark says, I see competition advertising 50 local neighborhood pages to help with SEO. Why is this important? Do I copy this? How? So, do I? Yeah. You ask Mike this question, he'll say yes, because he's done it for his own business. So, setting up local neighborhood pages, Mike calls this silo pages. A lot of people call it that too. They're basically, um, they're basically customized for a different town. And you're Mark and you're Long Island. So like a lot of people don't like understand the way Long Island is set up, right? Like you could literally walk across the street and not realize you just crossed over into another town. They all look the same. They're all identical. So where did the line even get drawn? I don't know. Like your neighbor across the street goes to a different school than you, and you're like, I don't get it. But so in Long Island, especially, this is kind of a thing. I would probably say that yes, you can set up different pages on the site and get some results, but there's a couple of key factors to consider. Number one, you have to have unique content on every single page of the site. Number two, you'd probably want to focus on just one service per town. So, despite the fact that the business is offering several different things, you'll probably just want to focus on one per town landing page as possible so that you're really hyper focusing your content and optimizing the likelihood that Google will actually find it and give you love for it. So Mike is chiming in and saying, "Yeah, all of my clients get dedicated silo pages for service areas. Some of the sites I've built are like 40 pages. LOL." Mike's also charging for that. Okay, it's not something you should just give away. Building these additional pages is time consuming, and there's a lot of attention to detail you have to make sure that you do. Am I mentioning the exact same city throughout this entire page? Have I named it properly? All that kind of stuff. Mike's not charging extra for it. Call me crazy, Mike. I will happily call you crazy. It just means he's including it in the price, and his prices aren't the cheapest, but that's what's included. Mike, if you're willing to show one of the sites so people can get a feel for what that looks like, um, and you're willing to, we could show it to everyone else who's here. Very small crowd here today. Keith said, "Thanks for addressing my question, and Mark for answering it. When when SiteSwan decides if when SiteSwan clients decide to leave, if that ever happens, does SiteSwan facilitate a potential sale or client transfer from one SiteSwan client to another?" Um, I don't. We've never had someone say to us like, "I'm having a terrible experience with one of your resellers, and I want to get moved to somebody else." They don't even realize we're behind the scenes. So I don't think that could possibly. I don't think it could possibly happen. I'm not sure how to answer that question. Michael is nice enough to share this link with us. So on the bottom of this site, we have some pages. Mike's using some pop-ups and some cookie notifications. I'm assuming this is perhaps all from Elf site. I'm not quite sure. Linton, thank you so much. So you can click on any of these links and get taken to different pages of the site that focus on just one city. So this is for Dadeville, custom steel buildings in Dadeville. So what he's doing is just highlighting a specific feature or service that exists for this business and is loading up the key terms with the city so that it is crystal clear what he is capable of offering to the people of Dadeville. So that's the general idea. You are just going to duplicate the, and then if you go to a different page, you'll see it's got a similar layout. Let's go to Chelsea. It's got a similar layout. A lot of the same images are being used. That's actually one thing that I've actually experimented with, Mike, and I've seen that using different images is actually one of the things that can help these sites perform, these pages perform even better. Switching some things around, using different images, which I know you sometimes do in your own site. This obviously you're getting results from this, but next level would be actual different images, which is kind of hard to do. And keeping it the actual client images, you want to provide real stuff, so it could be a little tricky. Janine says, should we charge and set up Trustpilot and Yelp pages? I think for a typical small business, Trustpilot is not really a huge factor. Trustpilot has proven to be more of a thing with, companies that serve larger areas, not necessarily local businesses. So, like, it's impacting us, but I don't think Trustpilot has effectively closed in on the typical small business market just yet. Yelp, yes, but just be prepared and prepare your client. If you set up a Yelp page for them, they are going to nag the hell out of you, or the client, I should say, with sales calls and things like that to try and get you to pay them for advertising on their site. Um, what else can I answer for you all? Let's see if we have an update on the number of reviews here. Let's see. No, they're not registering yet. It probably takes a minute. They have to verify that you're an actual human being, and we haven't incentivized you to do this. That's one of their rules. You can't incentivize someone to leave a trust pilot, or you're like, all right, fine, we won't. We'll just beg and plead and cry. Mark wants to know if there's a location plan for our holiday party. I didn't know we were having one, but Mark, if you want to schedule it, that'd be wonderful. You can send out the invitations. All the SiteSwan family together. Would be nice. Get all together in person. I would like that. We have a couple minutes left. Are there any last minute questions before I make one last pitch to you guys to leave us a review on Trustpilot? Next week, next week, I want to just say it again. If you missed it in the beginning, we are going to have a live webinar on using premium website widgets. And I'm going to talk to you about why we recommend this. I'm going to talk to you about the types of widgets we find to be most popular. I'm going to talk to you about how to price it. I'm going to give you three different options for how to do it, including bundling. Um, and I'm familiar enough with their platform that I can actually answer some questions about how some of the widgets work, like I demonstrated today with the translation services. So if you're around and you're willing to be a part of the conversation, it's going to be very different compared to what we normally do with these Ask Me Anythings. We're going to do full on webinar. We're going to hopefully see a lot more people involved and get you all in there. If you wouldn't mind, guys, one last time in the questions tab, give me one thing, one key takeaway, one beneficial item from today's chat. I would love to see it. Oh, Janine says, what template will be best for a subcontractor for a general contracting company? So they want to advertise to general contractors that they are a subcontractor. That's interesting. That's a pretty a smart move, actually. I kind of like that. So I would just use a contracting theme, any of the residential builder contracting themes that we have, and I would just say we're a subcontractor that serves contractors. Yeah, that would work very well. What else? Oh, so one key takeaway, if you guys can, anything that was beneficial or helpful to you during our chat today, really, really appreciate that. I will read them off briefly before we wrap up and make sure that we continue to deliver the types of stuff that you would like to see and want to benefit from in these sessions. So, one key takeaway from today could be something someone asked. It could be an answer you heard, something I showed on the screen. Maybe it was Mike's website, and you can see how those silo pages work. Maybe just knowing that we're doing something different next week, whatever it is, I'd love to hear it so that we can do better. Oh, and by the way, Mark says Mike's website. I did a thing um not too long ago, and I'm gonna share it with you guys. We did something on social media last week, and we had a big turnout, lots of views, lots of action on it. And what I did was I created this tool that you guys are welcome to use. It's called opengraphimage.net. And I'm just going to put it out there. You guys want to check it out? You certainly can. What you could do is you could put in your website. Works phenomenal with SiteSwan websites naturally. Put in your website, click generate image, and it'll generate an image that's appropriate for social sharing. So like you guys have probably seen this before where it's like if you go to your site and you go to the pages tab. Let me just do this real quick with you guys. Pages tab, manage pages, edit your home page, and you see social sharing open graph image. So what this will allow you to do is you're going to add an image that whenever you're posting the site on social media or in a text message or an email or whatever, it'll pull that image into the site as the preview link. And that preview link, if it's just a plain image, doesn't really do much for branding purposes. So what I've built here is an image generator. So you just put in the URL for the site, which I'll do right now. It works better when you actually have a real logo for the business, but um, I'll take that masonry supply one because that's kind of cool. Do, 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 do. What was it called? Is this it? No. What was it called? Was it this one? No. What was the? Oh my gosh, am I going crazy? I just had that site up. Is it Arizona State Masonry? Yes. All right. Let's see what happens. I never did this before. All right, just check this out. Paste in the URL. Click generate image. So it's going to take a minute, okay? But once it does, you're going to see the output, and it's going to be cool because we can customize it a little bit, and then we can add it to the site so that social sharing becomes really cool. So what it does, it pulls a bunch of images from the site, and it pulls my logo, and I can have multiple different layouts. So if I wanted, let's say, let me just take this image. It's like that's like the best image. I could do something like this. I could do something like this, which I think is probably my favorite. I can do a collage of photos, so I can have multiple photos. Um, that could be cool. And you can play around with this and export this file very quickly. Download the PNG, and then once you have it downloaded, just upload it to your page. I go pages, manage pages, edit my page. social sharing image, upload it here. And now every time I share this page to the site, it'll pull up that really cool, attractive image. I love to use it for when I am sharing the final site with the client. I'll usually text it to them or something like, hey, the site's done. Just give it a once over before we launch it. Or I'll say, hey, we launched the site. Take a look. It looks fantastic. I'll text it to them and that image comes up. And if that's a nice looking image, you really, you've really outdone yourself. So opengraphimage.net. Check it out. Have fun with that. That's a little gift from me to you. Okay. Thank you so much for being a part of this today. I really appreciate you all being here. Next week, I'll see you back here with a brand new topic, and we'll have a lot of fun doing that. If you want to stick around for the replay, you could do that right now. Otherwise, wait for the email and you get a link to watch this online. Thank you all for being a part of the SiteSwan family. Have a great Friday, nice weekend. Go out and sell some sites. See you later.